What is up, YouTube? So this weekend, I went crazy on DFS apps like PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy, DraftKings Pick 6. I made over $30,000 this weekend playing college football, NFL, a whole bunch of different sports. So the point of this video is to kind of recap the picks that I placed, the slips that I put in, as well as the reasoning. Why did I think these plays were sharp? I mean, last year, I made a ton of money on these DFS apps. For example, Better Picks, which is Jake Paul's app actually, I made over like $60,000 on Better last year. These DFS apps are super exploitable and I want you to also make money off them. So that's the point of this video. So a few things I want to mention to kind of start out is I use 6 different DFS apps, right? A lot of people just use PrizePicks, but you shouldn't be doing that. I use 6 DFS apps. They all work roughly the same way, but they do have their differences. I use PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy, Owner's Box is a new one I've started to use, DraftKings Pick 6, Dabble, and Better. And there's a few reasons that you want to have multiple books. So the first reason is all of these books set their own unique lines. So we never know which book is going to have the best value on a given day. So for example, on DraftKings Pick 6, I ran Puka over 6.5 receptions in my slip. So if he has 7 or more receptions, I'm gonna cash. Now on PrizePicks, Better, these other DFS apps, Puka's line was higher at 7. So basically, if Puka had exactly 7 receptions, on PrizePicks, if you played his over, you would have pushed. However, on DraftKings Pick 6, you would cash. So that may not seem like a huge deal, but obviously sports betting is about getting an edge and winning long term. I do not claim to win every single bet. I had a great weekend this weekend, but it's not always like that, right? But finding value in the market between books is the first step to being a profitable sports bettor. And we just don't know which book is going to have the best value on a given day. Sometimes PrizePicks has a ton of value. Sometimes PrizePicks has a bunch of good promos, like on Tuesday for Taco Tuesday. And other days, PrizePicks is pretty dry. So I always recommend sign up for each one. Most of these books have lucrative sign-up bonuses as well. So like, for example, Owner's Box, I signed up for maybe like 3 weeks ago. I'm already up over $5,000 profit. And this book has an $100 deposit match when you first register. I mean, that's literally a free $100, right? These sign-up bonuses are the easiest money you're gonna make sports betting. So another reason that I love to use multiple apps, multiple DFS apps, is all of these books also run their own promos. They're all competing against each other for new customers. So they all run discounts, profit boosts, right? Promos are the low-hanging fruit of sports betting. It's the easiest money you're ever gonna make off the books. So even if you have a smaller bankroll, you can make a serious amount of money just playing these sportsbook promos. So let me give you an example of a play that I locked in. It was a super sharp play that I played on Pick 6. Why did I run it on Pick 6? That was the book offering value, and they also have pretty high limits, which is super nice. But anyways, the first pick you can see I ran in my slip was Kareem Hunt over 7.5 rushing attempts. So why did I decide to do this? Is I am a very data-driven sports bettor. I don't just wake up and bet with my gut, right? 97% of sports bettors lose money long term, and it's because they're not using sharp data-driven strategies like arbitrage and EV. They're not finding value in the market. But if you look at every other sports book, every other book had Hunt's line, his rushing attempts line, at either 8.5 or 9.5. So DraftKings was asleep at the wheel, offering his line at 7.5. You look at the other DFS apps like Underdog Fantasy and Better, they had him at 8.5. Pinnacle, which is known to be an extremely sharp sports book, their lines are very accurate indications of the true probability of an event. They had Kareem Hunt's line at 8.5 with equal juice, -115 on the over and the under. So basically all these books are telling us, they are data points. There are hundreds of books posting NFL prop lines for Sunday. All of these books are data points telling us, hey, DraftKings Pick 6, they have their line too low at 7.5. So you should play the over. Now, one thing I want to be clear about is, again, I use 6 DFS apps. Every single app will give you a 3x payout for 2 pick entries. So you're playing 100 to win 300. However, as you get to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks, the payouts on these DFS apps start to change. So why does that matter? I'll give you a simple example. Is on Better, they give you a 5x payout for a 3 pick entry. So instead of playing 1,000 to win 6,000 like on every other DFS app, you're betting 1,000 to win 5,000. That's a big difference, and it massively impacts your ROI long term. So it's really important that you know for all of these DFS apps the optimal slip to go with. So on PrizePicks, for example, it's a 5 or a 6 pick flex play. Sometimes I'll run a 3-man if there's really good value, because it's not a massive difference when you break down the payouts. And I have YouTube tutorials that go through the math behind PrizePicks and literally show you why 5-pick entries are mathematically optimal. But anyways, for PrizePicks, it's 5 or 6 pick flex plays. For Underdog, it's 6 pick flex plays. For Owner's Box, it's 6 pick flex plays. For DraftKings Pick 6, it's 3 pick entries. For Dabble, it's 3 pick entries or 5 pick entries. And for Better Picks, it's 5 pick entries, either insured or uninsured, or 6 pick insured entries. So again, I've done tons of videos breaking down the math behind the payouts, kind of showing you why these slip types are actually optimal. But that's just something important to mention, because some people will ask me, why didn't you just run a 2-man with Kareem Hunt? Why did you run a 3-man? And it's like, well, when you break down the math behind the payouts on DraftKings Pick 6, you'll see it's very clear that 3 pick entries are mathematically optimal. But anyways, that's an example of one play that I went with. Another example of a play I went with was, again, Puka over 6.5 receptions. So PrizePicks had his line higher at 7. So that's a good indication, right, that, hey, DraftKings Pick 6 is probably offering some value on the over. But there's a couple of reasons I like this play. There's a couple of reasons. So first of all, every sportsbook, every data point in the market had Puka's over heavily favored, right? So that's an indication to us that, hey, the over is the much more likely outcome. Now, on these DFS apps, the payouts are fixed, right? On DraftKings, I said earlier, any 3 pick entry is a 6x payout. You're putting down 100 to win 600. It doesn't matter if you take Puka's over or his under. So obviously, you want to take the over because that's the heavily favored outcome. You can tell that through the other sportsbooks and where they are setting their market, right? Sportsbook odds are a source of information. If a team is minus 200 to win, that doesn't just mean minus 200. That means the betting market is telling you that the team is a 2-to-1 favorite, 66.7% to win the game. So sportsbook odds are a source of information. So I had a lot of wins on Pick 6. I'll kind of go through some more, but again, we never know which book is gonna have value on a given day. So for example, on 3 different DFS apps, I played Kareem Hunt under 1.5 receptions. So this cashed out 3 plays for me. Every data point, right, every bookmaker is telling you his under's the much more likely outcome. So that's why I included this pick in my slip. And I ran this on Underdog, I ran this on Better, all with the optimal slip type. So I cashed an Underdog 6-man, 25x payout, a Better 5-man, no insurance, 20x payout, and then a PrizePicks play. So that's 55 units of profit if you want to think about that just from this play on Kareem Hunt. So pretty insane. So another book I'm super happy I signed up for, because I signed up, I guess, just a few weeks ago, is Owner's Box. Again, a lot of profitable plays, and a lot of these plays were not available on PrizePicks or Underdog. For example, I played Kurtz under 1.5 bases in a slip. You can see every sportsbook had his under as a massive favorite, so this was a really good play. It was a really sharp bet. And, you know, again, this line was not on PrizePicks, it wasn't on Dabble or Underdog, so the more books you use, the better. A lot of people try to overcomplicate sports betting. Oh, I need some fancy model, some crazy strategy, where, you know, you don't. You just need to follow the data and take advantage of the low-hanging fruit. Sportsbook promos. I've made videos about how even when I started sports betting, I didn't have a ton of money. I had a $5,000 bankroll. I was able to make $100 a day simply from having 15 sportsbooks and DFS apps. And every day I would get home from work, I would religiously look through each book for the profitable, no-brainer promos. I would take advantage of them, free squares, stuff like that. There's a lot of free money you can make not only on DFS apps, but also on sports books. Now, something else I wanted to mention is you don't need a complicated strategy, right? Like these sports books, there are hundreds of sports books. These are multi-billion-dollar companies. You are not gonna create a better model than DraftKings. So if DraftKings is telling you, hey, Kurtz is a lot more likely to go under, you know, and then Caesars and all these other books are telling you the exact same thing, that's all you need to know. Don't overcomplicate it. So the final thing I wanted to say is really like promos. DraftKings Pick 6, they had a 50% MLB boost this weekend. Once you add on the profit boost, the profit margin or the edge of this slip is, you know, it's over 30%. So I played Vlad under 1.5 bases. His under was heavily favored. Now for the college football play, I took Channing Goodwin for the college football boost under 33.5 receiving yards. You can see every other book had him like around 25. Bookmaker is a super sharp sports book. They had his line at 24.5, right? PrizePicks kind of confirms it. Their line was 28.5. So it's kind of like if a stock is trading in the market at $25 and you're able to sell it for $33.50, that's a pretty good trade. You don't need to know anything about the stock. Markets are fair. You just want to follow the data. If you have any questions, comment, let me know. Let me know other video ideas as well. I love making sports betting content. I love helping people, you know, beat the books, make money off the books. So any other questions you have, comment down below, video ideas, stuff like that. Thanks so much for your time, guys.